to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen.
With me today is Debbie G of Spirituality Gone Wild.
This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Neo-positivity is going to be possibly dropping in for quick drop-in today, but we'll likely see him next week because the message I got from him was that he was on a remote airfield in the middle of nowhere with 1 bar of cell service, so probably not going to be able to connect in with that kind of a connection. Debbie, you know a little bit about that being on the road yourself, but that's all right. We'll be looking forward to having him back next week. And today, well, Debbie gave you like a little bit of a heads up about what was going to happen today. And it was a very small one, but it sounds like freaking exciting. So I'm just going to turn the mic over. What's happening, Debbie G?
Oh, hey, everybody. What's up? What's up, Friday? Walt, it's so good to be here and see you.
It's good to see you, too. It's great to be seen as well. I love that.
Woo! Wherever you're watching from, please share this out. Look, I'm gonna be on. We're gonna have that come to Jesus today.
So here we go.
Well, here's what's hilarious. You know, when you show up for yourself, when yourself shows up for you, and you didn't even ask yourself to do that. I was pretty excited about how myself decided to show up for myself today.
Nice.
Because I was in my Facebook memories, and seriously, I did a live stream last year, a cup of grata, with a shot of expression and only 1 squirt of reality, and I was the squirt. And I just talked. Hi, kitty cat.
That's Harmony.
Hi, Harmony. Aw, hey. And so I showed up for myself, and how I did this was I turned it on and I started listening. Let go, let the flow. And I'm like, I need to hear my own message from a year ago to smack me in the face. Are you are you gratituding or are you complaining? I'm like, ugh. It just kept going. And I'm like, have you looked in the mirror to be real with yourself and not blame others? Kind of stuff like that. So let me tell you why this was so good. Let me tell you why. Because this last weekend, well, no, it's been going on for a few weeks now. I have a situation in my home life that I have a certain opinion about, and it includes finances, and I think that it should be a certain way because to me, it makes no logical sense to do it any other way.
Okay.
Well, there's also ego involved in that because
Sure.
when I don't get my way, I have to. Okay, so we're going to talk about my bad behavior right now. So, this situation is not going the way that I think it should be going at all. In fact, it's still not, even at this moment. I'm going to tell you all right now, no way, shape, or form is this in alignment with what I see my future holding in regards to a certain decision. Tough shit.
We can't even tell you what we're laughing at. This is great, though.
So tough patooties, little Debbie. Downer Debbie, how did Debbie? Oh my God. But we're going to go expand a little bit further. I threw a really big tantrum. Now I'm going to tell you all that. Did you know that baby elephants throw temper tantrums and throw themselves into the mud face first? Yeah. Don't be a baby elephant. I was a baby elephant. I threw a tantrum and threw my face right into the mud firsthand. And I swear to you, I kicked, I screamed, I cussed, I hollered, I mean, I went into, my ego got so big, I thought maybe I was flapping some wings.
Wow.
Not angel wings.
No, the other kind.
The other kind. Yeah, I was like, I should have had a broom. So, but you ever been there, like you're stuck in that stuff and you're just like so pissed off that you can't see straight and you're just
yeah.
And then the other person becomes your target of misery and you're just like,
because it's all their fault, right? I mean, it can't be me.
Well, in some particular senses it is, but not in my reaction.
No.
Well, okay, the situation is just what it is, and not by any fault, but just because it is what it is. And this is actually, yeah, I just heard myself. What I need to own is my old behavior seeping through that I thought were healed, my old stuff coming back up, just so that I could, it reared its ugly old head, probably worse than it's ever reared its ugly old head, and well, at least in a long time.
Wow.
And I was like, I was even, but I was so in my own misery of victimhood. Oh my God, Walt, you could have called me a Wayne. You Lance, I tell you, I promise you.
Wow.
And I even acknowledged that I was in my full-blown victim mode. Need to please call me an emergency victim. Butthurt kid. I need a hemorrhoidal pad for my butthurt ass, and it needs it now. And give me some tissue for my freaking issues, because dude, I was all up in that. I was so up in victim. I was so up victim's butt that Jesus Christ, I didn't see Jesus Christ either. I didn't see shit. I saw was so I get to sit with how I've treated another human being by being such a vocally expressive human with lots and lots of words.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not acceptable. See, that's the thing. And I remember I've been out of relationships for a long time, so y'all cut me just a tad bit of slack here, okay?
Sure.
I got to experience my first "it's not going my way" moment. And David Strickle from Thai Boot Camp graciously pointed out to me that, are you trusting your abundance in that? Like, So what I got to tell you is that you don't get more bees with honey, my darlings. If you use vinegar, it doesn't even smell good at all. It doesn't smell good. It's not gonna, it's gonna attract? It's gonna attract just nothing. I still feel very strongly about the way I feel, and I have a right to that. I also want to talk about my anger. Because, well, I was pissed. I was mad, right? Oof. Like mad. Wow. I was steaming.
Apparently, yeah.
Whew. That's okay. It's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to be angry.
Sure.
And I said, I'm really angry. I'm going to be allowed to be angry. Here's what's not okay: to belittle, attack, blame, shame, all those things that your ego will do. It's not okay to do that. And that was the part that I got way too up in this whole vibration of, down into this whole vibration of mucky things. And so, but look, I'm not beating myself up because I got upset. I'm looking at myself going, aha, so what trigger's still there? What needs to happen? And how do I need to pull that out? Because
you should also be giving yourself a little bit of a pat on the back too, to be honest, because you recognized it. The hardest part with this kind of stuff is often just not even realizing that you're doing it. Right?
I knew I was doing it when I was doing it. That's the horrible. That's not horrible. It's actually good, because honestly, when I woke up this morning, I was like, okay, no, I feel the same way I felt yesterday in the respect of what I think needs to happen. That hasn't changed. Because to me, I go into business mode. But this isn't about that. This is about my ability to treat someone with respect, even though I'm freaking mad as hell. And again, I was the baby elephant. You all need to realize that. So what do I do now, though? What do I do now? Well, the first thing is I apologize. I sought to understand. That's what I did. So I actually just I swallowed my ego. Just like an alien would do.
Was it tasty? I'm curious.
My ego? Oh, yeah, she's still, yeah, no.
Okay, so good.
No, she's more like she's like in no, she's a little sour.
A little sour. Oh, uh-huh.
A little sour, like sour. She old and decrepit. Just go over there.
Mm,
Sit. No, go sit in your corner, little girl. You know, it's funny because what happens when I get triggered is I know to use my tools, but I don't, that I felt pretty strongly. And it's like, so that ability, that letting go of the need to be right was just not coming. No
mm.
matter how much I wanted it to be, it's like, and I still think I'm right. But so yeah, so now this is a major agree to disagree. But who am I not to allow somebody else to be right?
Sure. I agree with that.
And then get mad because they don't do what you wanted them to do.
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
I mean,
It's the
there are some extenuating circumstances that I know I'm right, but I'm not going to talk about that.
but that's the challenge of dealing with a world of polarity because different people have different interests and different choices and different beliefs and different desires and different things that they like and don't like. And inevitably, there's going to be collisions sometimes. So the question isn't whether there's going to be collisions. The question is, how are we going to handle them?
That's it right there, though. And I was willing to, honestly, I had to take a good look at myself. This was not because I know this is nobody else. This is me. Me looking at myself at how that I'm miscommunication queen, how that I'm communicating properly. Because I want you all to know, I went into this victim story. I'm not being heard. I'm not being understood. I'm not being put first. I'm not nasty shit. God, I'm. And that's okay to do it for a minute. But is it really true?
That's an
And
interesting
today,
question. That right there, that's a very interesting question. Is it really true?
looked in the mirror and is that true? No.
Mm-hmm.
And then David, of course, reminds me, Debbie, you manifested the house you're in, all this stuff. Look what really, I'm like, hot damn. What you think upon is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
These things back to the gratituding and the complaining. So yeah, stepping out of your ego though. So here's what happens. It's scary, and this is really transparent. If I step away from this and say what happens is going to happen, I'm trusting the universe. My ego is like, excuse me, but this could make you a hello. I mean, just like all up and right. You
Mm-hmm.
guys, it is, and it's painful. It's like, excuse me, but I know what's best. And how can you tell me I don't know what's best? Excuse me. My ego, it is painful to admit you have to put the ego away. But once you do it, you're going to realize it's not. What's painful is fighting for something that's not worth fighting for.
Mm. Yeah.
What's because the ultimate question is this worth going down my spiral? Is this worth me losing my peace in my life that I love so much? Hell to the no.
Mm-hmm.
Hell
Mm-hmm.
to the no. Is that
Yeah.
somebody else's fault? No. No. I lost sight of what was important, and the person sitting there with me was who was important and myself, rather than looking at an external decision, environment, whatever the hell, even other people. But that's not important either. We were and failing to recognize where the importance lied.
Mm-hmm.
Ego, I got all kinds of cattywampus upside down, topsy turvy.
You know, when you're talking about this, you mentioned David Strickle a moment ago and how he had
Yeah,
given you a couple of reminders, and it brought to mind that you're a Thai boot camp graduate. I'm almost a Thai boot camp graduate. I'll be pretty soon, I think. And one of the key elements, one of the key things that you learn to do in the Thai boot camp is to go after what they call the transgressors. And so the question that comes to my mind is, do you think you kind of re-tapped into a transgressor that you thought might have been gone before?
yeah, I'm kind of really looking into that. To see what that really what is that attached to?
Mm,
It's a fear. See, it's a fear of there's always there's an underlying fear. But false evidence appearing real, want to throw that in.
Right.
What is the question I ask myself is, what is the evidence that I'm seeing that supports the old story that I'm telling myself?
Good question. Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to look at these two. Where this is stemming from, I haven't tapped into yet.
Okay.
But I am looking at what's, and again, going back to business. So when I start talking business, I shift a little. But even here, it's like, is this what I'm telling myself true? Does it meet this old story? Is there any, I'm not good enough, not worthy enough, not blah, blah, blah? Is there any of that in there?
Mm-hmm. What did you conclude?
It's telling myself an old story of telling myself I'm second. I'm not first. I'm not being chosen first. That old story.
So that was reinforcing a very unpleasant old memory that got reinforced at some point.
Yeah, somewhere in there, and I'm not even sure where, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do I need to be chosen at all? And why didn't I choose myself? I choose
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need anybody else to do it. And I got confused there for a minute, thinking that that some external something is going to change that. It's no.
Sure. Well,
But
that's what we are taught by our
it was
society to do.
oh shit, that could, dude, that could have been something from when I'm 5 on the playground, or I'm 6 or 7 on the playground, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being chosen for a game,
Sure.
or I'm
Oh
not.
yeah.
So it became a really important thing to me that when in relationship that I'm first, no matter what. I don't budge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this particular case, I think I'm still first. I just, dude, I know I am. I know I am.
You're reminding
But
me of Louise here, by the way, because Louise, and this is her wonderful way of getting herself back into perspective. But when she's having a difficult time, kind of along the lines of what you're describing here, she'll make the point. But I'm the princess. I want to be the princess. What's so difficult to understand here?
I'm okay. Okay.
All right. The peanut gallery can calm down a little bit.
Well, it is the princess. It is. And you feel sorry for the kid on the playground. I'm sure you should. Probably. I don't. I am the queen, for flip's sake. I mean, I'm almost like off with your head type stuff. I'm like, I had to stop that. I'll go back to being a sweet little princess. I was never. But okay,
that
but
sounds more
she's
like the Queen
right.
of Hearts, really.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
With her head. With her
Off
head.
with her head. Off with his
With her
head.
head.
Off with their head.
And you know who really needed their head off was the queen. So just saying. Anyway, well, but I love that. So, and what else would she? But how do you feel about the fact that she's princess?
Well, it's how she's saying it to me, though. If she's saying it to me the way that I was just describing, she's cluing me in on what she's recognizing about herself. So I feel perfectly fine about that, because she's basically talking about what's going on with her. Hey, what's going on with her is what's going on with her. It's not me. It's her. It's that simple.
It.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So therein lies the actual truth. You guys have to look at yourself, what's coming up inside of you, and seeing what's there, And I can tell you, just because I go and get mad, let me promise you, just because I had a moment where I reverted to some old crappy skills, the person receiving that also is opening themselves up for the experience to learn from it.
Yep.
It's an overall big learning experience, because I'm not sitting here taking credit for a fucked up situation, excuse my mouth, that when you say yes from the get, shit happens.
My favorite way of describing this is, really, there are no victims, there are only volunteers. Debbie's clapping her hands together.
Oh Yeah, you nailed it. There's only volunteers.
Mhm.
I fully volunteered. I fully showed up, said yes, suited up, and said, okay, let's go at it. But the key component to all of this is, and I hope whoever is listening right now is understanding this, the only person that you can look at is yourself. And if you're looking at other people going, you did this to me and blah, 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 well, that shit's just reinforcing something you already felt. So you may as
Mm.
well own it. Like
Mhm.
I'm telling you, I'm doing. Own it. Because the
And
minute that you see it, what happens?
that's actually a hard thing to do many times. It's hard to own our own stuff.
Oh
There
my
are
God,
times
yeah.
when it just seems impossible because to own our own self means we have to let go of things that we've been hanging on to for dear life.
Oh,
That's not so easy.
that 5-year-old story. How can I let go of it? I liken that. This is why I say we're all recovering trauma babies.
Mhm.
We're all recovering trauma babies. Because when we started the trauma, we were babies. And we got that stuff stuck into our psyche. And we respond from that place until that we see it, recognize it, and transmute it. And that's all it is see it, recognize it, transmute. It goes.
Mhm.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So you're like, well, I don't know, I'm blocked. No, you're not. You're just not honest with yourself. By the way, don't know who needed to hear that. Apparently, somebody.
Oh, always, always.
Oh God, I'm blocked. No, you're not. Nobody
Well,
is.
actually you are, but who did the blocking?
Oh, I love Walt. Just big explosion.
Because
You
I know what those blocks are like. They're huge. The thing that pisses me off is realized I put him there. It was me. I put up the block. Oh
isn't that
God,
a
why did
kick
I
in?
do that again?
God, it's such a kick in the butt. I tell you what,
And the biggest thing
owning.
that I've been
Yeah.
learning in Taya, I'll tell you this, the biggest thing I've been learning to do is to forgive myself for putting up those blocks. That's the hardest part right there. Just saying, you know what? Okay, I did it. I own up. I'm willing to let
Yes,
it go and forgive myself.
yes. I forgive me for acting like an asinine fool.
Hmm.
Walt forgives himself this way.
Hmm.
Walt forgives
I know it always confuses me which way the video goes, right?
this way. Oh, I could be like an airport director. And actually, maybe that's what y'all are doing. Maybe if we were just observing, you just need somebody outside looking in so they could just observe you were to park your own plane.
Well, that's
Just
really
do
what
it.
that's what the Thai practice is really all about. It's trying to achieve that source perspective. Because when you're in the
Mm.
source perspective, you're not all tied up in all that egotistical stuff. And so you can see things differently. You can see things the way that actually helps you to get past whatever that block is. And the block actually can kind of disappear after a while when you attain that source perspective. Because now you're just not even thinking about it the same way. And because you change the way you think about it, it's not going to be there anymore.
And that's it right
Yeah.
there. That's it. It's perspective.
Mhm. Perspective's
You're not
everything.
broken. Yeah. No one's broken.
That's a great point too. I love that one because so often we talk about, not so much here on the show, but we in society talk about people being broken. There aren't any broken people.
No, there's
We're
no
all
broken people.
whole. We're all whole, every single one of us. In fact, the
Yep.
moment that you talk about yourself as being broken, you just set yourself up as a victim again,
Totally.
right?
Or I need to be fixed. Or
Yep.
even the thought of me thinking that somebody else needs to be fixed.
Or even worse, yeah. Which is usually what
So,
happens when you do the first one. If you think of yourself as a victim, you instantly start thinking about fixing somebody else because it can't be you, right?
totally. No, it can't
Yeah.
be. It can't be me. Oh my
No.
God. Debbie Gratitude that practices gratitude all the time. She lost her shit. Yeah.
Happens. Happens to all of
Well,
us.
totally. And what was awesome was I swear to you, I showed up for me today. I couldn't believe it. It was, I could believe it. I could believe it.
Well, sure, it's law of attraction. Yeah.
I can believe it. I
Yeah.
mean, listening to myself talk last year and just listening to everything I'm saying is like, oh,
Hmm.
guess who needs to practice her tools there, Missy?
Hmm. Hmm. You gave yourself a
Every
wake-up call is what you did from a year ago.
yeah, myself gave myself a wake up call. It was freaking fabulous. I'm like, oh my
Wh-
God, I love me.
Which
Jeez
is interesting.
Louise.
Because so often we talk about these past future things about what would your future self tell you, if you could go back and tell yourself, what would you tell yourself in the
Sure.
future? And here we got it going in the opposite direction. This time it's us in the past telling the future something that the future needs to hear, which
Yeah.
is cool.
Oh my God. Yeah. Right. It was, but the big message was stop complaining, start gratituding.
Mm,
Start gratituding. Not gratituding apparently is now going to become my word. Gratituding. Are you gratituding it?
okay, that's a good word. If you're going to invent a
Well,
word, you might as well make it one like that one because that's a powerful one.
well,
Just
I have
by
another word. I have a word I invented called lovitude.
yeah, okay,
Lovitude is the vibration of it's the vibration of love.
sure,
Gratitude and love combined. It's like
hmm,
lovitude. It's your
yeah,
gratitude. It's your love. It's an attitude. Lovitude's the attitude.
yep, absolutely. I totally buy into it. As soon as you even said the word, I knew what the word meant. It's a perfect
I
word.
love
Is
that.
it because it
Lovitude.
sounds like what it is?
Isn't it great? It just, I
Yeah.
love that word. That came to me one day when I was on the phone with somebody and I'm just like, she said something. I'm like, that's just lovitude. It's just that. Spark the G vibe, gratitude vibration,
Hmm.
pl- play and fun and excitement. That's what I looked at last year and I went, play. It's just like, that's been the whole consensus today, though. We're not playing enough. We're
Mm.
complaining too much.
Yeah.
Not contented with where life is at or where life is going, and so getting down into that old little rabbit hole of, well, at least I was in a little rabbit hole. But you know what's a trip wall is when you're in that rabbit hole, you know you're in that rabbit hole and you allow yourself to be in the rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah. That's a very common thing. I would say that's probably the most common thing that humanity as a whole does. Because, well, first of all, most of humanity doesn't even know about the tire practice. Very few know about law of attraction. So they're going to be kind of stuck there because they don't know any better. But even if they did know better, a lot of them would choose to stay there. I know people who are very well versed in law of attraction, who I won't name, who choose to stay in that. You call it a rabbit hole. I'll call it a rat hole because that's really what it is. It's a really miserable place to be. It's a very, but
It
they
is so
choose.
sad.
They'll keep repeating over, and you point out to them that that's what they're choosing, and they'll defend it. They'll say, "Yes, I am staying in this rat hole. I choose to be here." Not necessarily quite in those words, but that's what it all amounts to. So yeah, humanity. I don't know. I kind of suspect this ties into why it is we come into this life in the first place. The stream of David talks about how we come in here to live the polarity, to experience the polarity. And I think that's
Yeah,
true. But it's really true. I think that people not only come in to experience the polarity, but they want to stay in the lower end of it a lot.
they're real bored. They're real bored. I'm telling you, they're bored in the house and a
Maybe
board in the
that's what
house
it
and a board in the
is.
house.
It may be. I don't know.
Look,
I haven't
well,
totally
I
figured
mean,
that
this
out.
well, the stream talks about this a lot, where if life were perfect, look, well, here, let's use the Kardashians. I'm sorry to pick on you guys because I know you have
Everybody
trauma.
picks on them. I mean, they got so
I
they won't
can't
even
help
hear it
it.
from
They're
us.
just, I got trauma just watching their trauma. So, I mean, but let's look at okay, I think we can all concur that these people, by the world standards, have it all. Could have whatever they want, be whatever they want, do whatever they want in the respect of where they sit in their social class, financially, influencer wise, the whole lot.
Sure. Yeah.
And these crazy chicks have to create drama that I have never seen the likes of before.
Hmm.
Their ass isn't big enough. I got to get ass implants so the whole world gets ass implants. I mean, they weren't. There's no satisfaction coming from that environment. They're bored in the house and they're bored in the house, so they're going to rock the house.
Mm.
And usually, and the rocking of the house walls is so that foundation can come apart, so you can rebuild it again.
Hmm.
Or it's that rocking of the house is to knock off debris that needs to get knocked off. So when we're when we're sitting idle, also had this thought, and let me know what you think about this. I've had times where it's like a low,
Hmm.
no drama, no nothing, everything's peaceful, no nothing.
So it's not necessarily a low vibe. It's just kind of a soft, gentle kind of situation.
Yeah, no low
Hmm.
vibe. In fact, I'm in bliss. I live in bliss. I don't live out of bliss. And
Hmm.
then something happens.
Hmm.
I think that's our rest period. I think that those moments where your life is just blissful, is just your physical being getting ready. Because if you're in that, it used to be, well, I just know everything's going to go to shit because I feel so good right now. Or maybe it's not, and maybe it's your physical being resting for your next level up.
I think there's truth to that because certainly the state that you're describing is a meditative state. And a meditative state is, by definition, a resting state, very much akin to sleep, which is a resting state. And when
Hmm.
you're in a resting state, you are recuperating. That is the purpose of rest. It is to
Yeah.
recuperate. Now, the other part of it, I think, is where it gets a little bit, um, I don't know what the muddy perhaps is the word, because the choice, and I use that word advisedly, the choice of coming out of a rest state in order to create a new round of drama isn't an inevitability, it's a choice. You could be choosing
Yeah.
to come out to do something else. That's what pre-paving is all about. That's what segment intending is all about. So what are you
Right.
going to what are you deciding? What are you intending is going to happen when you come out of your period of rest? That's really what's driving it. So it isn't necessarily something that's going to be dramatic. It could be, but not necessarily. It's really driven by what your choice is.
Exactly. How are you going to respond or react? And
And
if,
what are you going to intend also?
well,
The
that's like
intention
Pat.
plays that plays a huge part of it. Because yes, well, respond and react has to do with what you encounter, but intend that lays out what you would like to have happen, how you would like it to
Yeah,
play
yeah.
out.
On point. On point. 100%.
Hmm.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I liken it to that level of if you're playing a video game. I was talking about playing video games earlier. If you're playing a video game and you're leveling up, you're going to the next level, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
You find little cheats in here. We don't go backwards, we go forwards. Each level we get excited about. Each time we level up is more exciting than the last. And it doesn't need to be a negative excitement. It's about the fact that we're creating, because Walt just said, if you're setting your intentions, then it shifts what that looks like.
Right.
Um, the rest period being, I feel like in our being, it takes, if there's anything left to grow with, meaning fall off of you, stuff that no longer serves you. I see that rattle as being your friend because it just falls off. I appreciate the fact I blew a rod yesterday.
Hmm.
I don't love how I acted, but I appreciate it because it showed me something very important. And that if I'm going to be who I say I am, then that means remembering that we only have today. And
Very
that's
good
it.
point. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm appreciating it.
So what you have just described here in your overall story is the Taya story, the Taya plan, if you will.
Yeah.
You you experience a what they call a DTS. You go down that spiral. You're in that really low vibe situation. Then you recognize it. That's the first step. You notice that you're there. That's a big one for anybody, especially who's not been through Taya. That's a big one. Noticing that you have actually fallen into a bad place without having to go through it for 5 weeks before you finally notice, hey, I've been in a bad place for 5 weeks. That the noticing is a huge deal. And then once you notice it, once you're applying the Taya practice, the Taya principles to it, you say, okay, I've noticed it. I'm going to feel it for a moment. I'm going to ask myself, is this tied into a transgressor? Is this something I can detune? And then as I detune it, can I find a level of forgiveness? And as I find a level of forgiveness, can I find a level of gratitude? And as I find the level of gratitude, can I find appreciation? And if I can find appreciation, guess what? I just floated back up to the higher vibe space. That's the Taya practice in a
It's the
nutshell.
Taya practice. That is it.
That's it.
Wow, that was good.
Well, you gave us a great example of what to do when you get into a bad place, and you did it. Your description was literally what I just described. You fell into a bad place, you noticed it, you started making a change, you took ownership. As you started to take ownership, you also went into forgiveness mode. As you went into forgiveness mode, you started to find gratitude. As you found gratitude, you found appreciation, and you climbed out. That's it.
And here's
That's
the
the whole
cool
thing.
part. Oh yeah, totally. And everything's temporary, you guys, no matter what you're going through. What I'm describing to you is it was quite it was pretty serious stuff, like real, like in the world of relationships, it was kind of a serious situation. So then Walt, let's go into the next piece of this.
Okay.
And I love that you said that it was just like Taya, because and if anybody's curious about what Taya is, just message the show or go to thestreamofdavid.com and just tell them Walt and Debbie sent you. Okay.
Well, Walt and Debbie and Anne Marie and Bridget and Janine and all the other people on the show who have also gone through Taya. I think most of our listeners know who it is, but there may be some new ones, so that's a good point.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I love that. And I think that's wonderful. So the next part comes up when in the old days, if you got into in this bad of a situation, an argument, and your ego was all up in it, and it was all what it was, you may have decided, or I probably would have decided, I'll talk about me. I probably would have been like off with the whole thing. Like
not just the head.
the done erd.
Mm.
Like I'm And it really takes another step away from your ego to realize the only way that the situation's going to change is if I approach it differently for myself. What are my intentions for this relationship? What do I want out of it? Do I really want a result where we are no longer together? No. Even though you're mad, even though I'm mad, no.
Well, that took a very basic, fundamental recognition on your part, which I applaud you for recognizing, and it was exactly what you needed to do. You had to answer the question, what is the common denominator of this situation? Hands up.
My hands up.
Yep.
Hallelujah.
And you did. And you were honest about it, and you nailed it.
That takes work, guys, and you can do this. Anybody. Oh, let me tell you, you all would have thought yesterday, I was just real human moment. I was so perfectly human and perfectly imperfect. You would have thought I'd never had a tool in my life.
Yeah, we tend to forget them, don't we?
Debbie G, step over and let the ego take over. It was not, no.
That's so common, though. I mean, we all do that. In fact, David, actually, the last time I had a private one-on-one with David, he made the point, even when you graduate from Thai boot camp, it's not like it ends right there. You are constantly learning and relearning how to apply it and to apply it in your life, because you're running into situations where you go down that spiral and you're dealing with it and you're appreciating it and so on and so forth over and over and over again. It's an ongoing experience. So of course it's going. I mean, you just know stuff's going to happen. The question isn't whether it's going to happen. The question is, what are you going to do about it?
And that's what it came down to, because I know it's temporary. And well, I'm going to tell you, boundaries. Boundaries come when you speak your truth. I used to think, well, boundaries were something you had to lay down like the law with, unless it's business. And you do have to lay down the law. Boundaries between relationships is speaking your truth.
It's because the two are so closely related that we don't realize that they're two different things, but they really are two different things. They're very closely related. I mean, certainly, putting down a boundary as if it were the law is close to speaking your truth, But ultimately, speaking your truth, which, and I love the phrase, by the way, speaking your truth is the true laying down of a boundary.
That's what I'm saying.
It isn't so much how I'm going to enforce it. It's this is what I am choosing.
Beautiful. Exactly. And you're just no excuses, no bullshit that goes with it. You over explainers and you and people pleasers, hear me out.
Mm.
I'm a recovering people pleaser. You do not need to explain anything to anyone over necessary explaining to get them to understand you, because they're never going to understand you. They either will or they won't.
And most likely, when you're doing that, the person you're really trying to convince is yourself.
Totally. That's actually,
yeah. You think you're trying to convince them, but really, you're trying to convince yourself.
I love you, God.
Thank you. I love you too.
Yes, always. You guys do you get that? Did you hear that? It's yourself. So speak your truth.
I want to throw something in here. I'm not sure who it is because they didn't register who they are through Facebook. So it comes up as Facebook user in our chat. But the user said, I'm terrible about this still.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage whoever that is to think about it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to suggest to you is, what part of it are you good at? Not what you're terrible at. What are you good at? What part of it are you doing well that you can pat yourself on the back for? Because if you can start there, you can get right past whatever that terrible part is. You can almost skip past it, not quite, but you can slide past it quickly. Let's put it that way. The one thing you really don't want to do is focus on, oh God, I'm so terrible, and then stay in that space, because you'll never get out of that space.
You know, and get stomped on, walked on, and then you'll be like, ah.
Oh, it's Joe.
Oh, okay. Well, he's what Walt just said, Joe. What Walt just said, and y'all, that's my darling right there. That's Joe Sliker, and I okay. So I'm gonna actually, I may as well share something else with y'all. Y'all ready to hear this? Joe and I eloped, by the way.
Did
I just
you?
want to tell you. Yeah, I'm announcing it just because I want to.
When?
Yeah. A while, but a little bit ago. Not that long ago.
So you're officially?
We are officially married, yeah.
Whoa!
I'm announcing it right here.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Wait
That
until you see it. Seriously. So that's my husband on there that's talking right there.
Congratulations, Joseph. Oh my goodness. Woo! Yep.
Truth bombs. Well, I love that. And the thing is that we recorded it and we did it in the back of a pink Cadillac in Vegas with Elvis singing.
I love it.
Oh my God. It's so hilarious, you all. You just don't even know right now, like, how funny this is. So we're going to be having a sacred ceremony, though, and doing, and have that whole thing. But y'all are going to get to see the video because it's freaking hilarious. And one of the parts in the video, like, we're in the back of this, the cheesiest Cadillac you could find. I was so stoked. God. Oh my God. My best friend, she was there, and her husband. So that was it. We didn't tell the kids. We didn't tell anybody, Walt. We told nobody.
That is funny. That is great. That is wonderful.
So, yeah, it was pretty funny. And I just now decided, like, off the cuff, that right now is the very first time I've ever said anything outside of just my children, which I have told. That's it. And Josie, of course.
Well, I have to say that I, on behalf of all of us here on Elevate today, we are honored that you broke the news here. So thank you very much for that wonderful piece of information. That's really terrific. We're really happy for you.
And I know y'all are feeling for Joe right now.
Actually, Joe said, thanks. I'm a lucky guy. And yes, the ceremony was awesome. So I'm not feeling all that bad for him right now.
Oh, not that part. And I love what he said. He said, dang, listen to you, Walt. You sound like a Taya graduate. Debbie's the queen of owning her shit and everything else. I am the queen. I am for real. But I will tell you, it is such a good balance. And the good balance is in the fact that, you guys, I'm telling you, when you're in a relationship, I don't care if you've been in it for a day, a month, a year, However long it's been.
I'm sorry.
He's dying. He's dying.
People, the listeners have no idea why I'm laughing at this point. This is ridiculous.
Please tell them why you're laughing. Go
It's
ahead, tell them.
because Joe posted. I didn't even know she was going to announce this, Walt. Like, okay.
Yeah. We're coming out of the closet there, baby.
Apparently, yes.
Just coming out the closet. I decided to come out of the closet like right now. Because, well, I want to just say that it's like a really big. Joe's such a big supporter of the shows. He's a big supporter of our work, which is brilliant. He's in Thai boot camp. He was
doing very well, by the way, in Thai boot camp. I mean, what's said in Thai stays in Thai, but I gotta tell you, he's doing really, really well.
Totally. And it's and it's challenging for me to come out of being single for such a long time. But you guys,
I know that feeling, actually. I know that feeling very well, because when I met Louise, I met her when I was 41. We married when I was 42. And that was my first successful relationship. So I'd had like 22 years of absolute failure, one after another. And I mean, it was a shift. It was not a difficult shift. It was fairly easy, but it was a shift that I really felt a lot. And it was disorienting. I think that's really what my point is. It kind of throws you off balance for a bit, because it's such a big change from where you were.
Totally.
Doesn't mean it's a bad change. It's a very good change. But hey, any kind of big change like that, a life event change, is going to shake things up. It just has to.
Well, it shook it up so well that we got to go through this experience, which shook off a whole bunch of more stuff for me that I needed to see within myself, so that I can be the best version of me. If I'm the best version of me, then I can show up and be just awesome for other people. And I don't know this. I
want to touch on that. What you just said there. That was a great thing you just said. The way, I don't remember exactly how you said it, but the gist of it is that it has an impact on other people. When you shake things off, when you make these changes in your own life, you have an impact on other people when you do that. And I want to tell a quick story that illustrates that. Yes. When Louise and I first got together, at that point in time, my parents were both alive. They were living on a lake in Virginia, and it was the place I went to every summer, because, hey, if you got a lake to go to, where are you going to go for vacation? It's going to be to the lake every year. So I went to the lake every year. Well, this year, of course, I brought my new sweetheart with me. And we the first year we stayed at my parents' house. The second year we decided to rent a house so that we could stay on the lake, but kind of be out of people's hairs and so forth. And I won't go into all the details of the story, because my brother, my sister, other people were involved. There was a very complex story, and it really isn't important to what it is that I'm going to talk about. Bottom line, though, is that it came to a head, in a sense. The situation came to a head because my family expected me to basically bend to what they wanted to have happen. And my fiance, well, she wasn't quite my fiance yet, but my girlfriend at that point, wanted me to bend to our relationship. Like, I had to choose between the two. And I instantly chose the relationship, which set my family into a frenzy. They did not like that. But I held the line.
Get over it?
Well, of course they got over it. They had to get over it.
Okay, but you held the line on what your truth was.
I held the line on my truth, which was tough. It wasn't easy to do, but I did.
I bet it was hard.
And you know what came out of that? That was so wonderful. What? I got a ton more respect from my mom, from my sister, and my brother. And in fact, my brother, this is the really cool part. Let's see, how many years later was it? 10 years later, 12 years later, something like that. Set the intention that he wanted to attract a Louise into his life. And he did. He attracted his wife, Iona, and guess what? They eloped. You see why I had to tell you that story. I mean, it is perfect.
We fully eloped. That was actually excellent. And what's interesting is I'm imagining that took you pulling from a place that you've never pulled. You have to want something so badly that you're willing to do whatever it takes to live in your truth, and that's all you do. See, but well, why weren't you worried about what your family was going to say or what they were going to do?
I'm thinking back and I'm asking myself, what is the answer to that question? Honestly, I think it came down to this. I knew that this was a key decision point, really key decision point, because if I didn't choose my primary relationship first, it could not remain my primary relationship. It was going to fall apart. Whether or not we tried to hold it together or not, it was still going to fall apart if I didn't pick it first. That's why they're called primary relationships. That's why your marital situation or your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever it is your primary relationship. It's called primary because it comes first. It comes ahead of all other relationships. So
Hmm.
if I wanted to make that my primary relationship, now was the time.
Yeah.
And there was not going to
And
be there wasn't going to be a second choice really. It was either now or never.
hmm
And I wanted it. So as I think about it, it really wasn't a hard decision to make.
yeah.
It was kind of hard to put up with the consequences of it, but that didn't last too long. It was actually fairly easy once I focused on one idea. Is this my primary relationship? And when I decided it was an open and shut case at that point.
Hot diggity, doggity, diggity, damn. I can't, no, I just listen. I can't tell you guys what the whole situation's about, but I could tell you that what you just said, Walt, is what we're dealing with right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's going to be very interesting to see how that unfolds. I can just say that yeah, that there's your choice is your primary relationship, and I think
Yeah.
that that is probably the key factor there.
Is the
It's really
primary relationship truly the primary relationship?
well,
That
it
could
sucked.
it really has to
It
be one
sucks.
way or the other.
How sucky is it what you went through? Was it really gnarly? How
It
did it? What
wasn't
it?
it wasn't fun. Yeah, it was kind of unpleasant. But
It was
let's say
unpleasant.
there were some shouting matches and there were some very hurt feelings and yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But it
You
didn't
glad you?
last. That's the thing. It doesn't last.
No.
The hurt feelings, they soothe over time. The frustrations ease. The relationship continues.
And what do you think would have happened if you chose otherwise? I think what you said is that
Oh, it would have fallen apart. The
it would have fallen
relationship would have
apart.
fallen apart, no doubt about it. Because
And why do you think that
if the
is?
relationship is in theory the primary relationship, but you don't treat it like the primary relationship in practice, guess what? It is not the primary relationship.
I
It's
just use that
that
stuff all the
clean. It's
time.
that
Yeah.
simple. It either is or it isn't. There's no in between. There's no tie for first. It is either first or it's not.
Ah, okay. So I love that because uh that's my personal belief system that that is what the truth is. That
Yeah.
if you're going to be in a relationship, and this is it, it's you choose that first. You choose that above and beyond anything else first.
Yeah.
And that can and I have a feeling it's going to look probably different than I would have imagined. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything unfolds. Losing my opinion, or no, that's not right. In my particular situation, I'm releasing and letting go of what I think the outcome needs to be and
That's very good.
asking, and it's going to be whatever it is. So here's how this looks, y'all. Am I going to be okay either way? Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm still here breathing. Without your dark, you wouldn't know your
What's
spark.
the word? Spark? What is that one?
Spark. Without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. I'm here breathing. I do know that no matter what happens in situations, that I'm going to be okay. I know what Walt said, make your intentions. So I know what my intentions are. Now, let go of it like a balloon and let it float up into the atmosphere. It has helium. It can float.
It does.
Don't get tech. You didn't blow it up yourself. Just use the machine. Let it
That's
go. And you can even use a little. You want to talk funny?
right. Nothing like a little helium to lighten up life a little bit.
Let it go and let it flow. Let it go and let it flow. And the other thing is for me to step into gracious gratitude. And
The key
here's what
thing,
my gracious.
the key thing, before you go into the gratitude, it's an important piece.
Mhm.
The key thing to understand about that letting go part is that that's what makes it work. The letting
Don't
go
even go figure.
makes it
Go
happen.
figure.
Yeah.
I don't even know how this shit works. It does.
It
I
does.
swear to God.
Well, because that's
Let
where
it
you're letting
go.
go of your own block that you create. We talked about creating the block before. That's letting go of it.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
oh.
okay, go to the gratitude piece.
All right. So here's my gracious gratitude and how humbling it is to be in my life right now and how much mercy and grace has been in my life. Well, I had no home 3 years ago. And I'm over here like having this debate about it's buying a home, this home, that home, the whole 9 yards. Talk about gratitude. Not only did I not have one, but I manifested this house. I manifested uh, a husband. I manifested a life that is to me that makes sense. And believe me, he's somebody that he's polar opposite of me, so he can handle my high energy because it's high. And I love my energy, and it's explosive in person as it is. It's awesome, and he can hang with it, and he can handle it. So my gratitude, my gracious gratitude in this entire event that's been happening, regardless of what the outcome's going to be, as I'm not where I was. I'm not where I was. Not that I didn't love where I was, because I'm going to tell you, I found gratitude sitting in a car that was rented, not even my own, with no home. That appreciation factor is the key and the essence to everything in your life, including when you're not happy with somebody. Start getting into gratitude about them, and you're not going to be complaining about them.
Boom.
So that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. And
I love it. Thank you for
go.
sharing. Thank you for sharing what you've been going through there. Because I think everybody is going through all kinds of stories that are close to that one way or another. At various points in our lives, we just go through them. That's just being alive. So hearing someone going through it, owning up to their own stuff, letting go, and getting to that point where all of a sudden they feel that relief and release, that's the ultimate modeling. That's the ultimate personal example. So just like you were talking about earlier on, we set the example through our own behaviors, and that example permeates society in ways that we can't even see. So thank you for permeating society in ways we can't even see.
I love that. You are very welcome. And my final words are, be the 100th monkey, not the baby elephant.
I love that. Be the 100th monkey, not the baby elephant. And guys, if you haven't seen that picture of the baby elephant with the face plant in the mud, it is hysterical. You got to see that photo. It is just wonderful.
Tantrum throwing babies. I mean, really. That's what you all are a bunch of trauma babies. Feeling sorry for yourself. Stop that shit. Just quit it.
Looking at the photo all by itself will make you want to quit it, because it's just so it's cute, it's adorable to see this elephant face planted in the mud. I mean, oh my goodness.
Its little butt up in the air, and the mom's just looking at it like,
yeah, right.
How's that working for you there, little man?
Exactly.
So good. How's it?
Oh, what a wonderful thing. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, live streamers, and thank you especially to podcast listeners everywhere. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.